Welcome back to the channel, where we talk about the most valuable coins that could be hiding right in your pocket change. Today we are going to dive deep into the world of Roosevelt One Dimes, coins that many people see every single day, but never realize how valuable they can be. These dimes may look ordinary, but certain years, mint marks, and errors can make a Roosevelt dime worth far more than just 10 cents. Some of these coins have been sold for incredible amounts, turning a small dime into a true collector's treasure. That's why you'll want to stay with me all the way until the end of this video, because I'll be going over the history, the rare dates, the hidden errors, and the exact details that can make your Roosevelt dime valuable. If you skip any part, you might miss the exact information that could help you identify a dime in your collection worth much more than face value. Let's get started. First up, the 1977 Roosevelt One Dime is a coin that may look ordinary, but it has become an important and valuable piece in American coin collecting. Many people see dimes every day without realizing that a 1977 Roosevelt dime can actually carry value beyond its face value of 10 cents. Today we will be talking in detail about the 1977 dime, its history, its design, the reasons it was minted, the mints where it was produced, and most importantly why this dime can be valuable for collectors. If you have a 1977 Roosevelt dime in your collection, or even in your pocket change, you should listen closely because these coins can be worth much more than you think. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. By 1977, this coin had already been a staple of U.S. coinage for over 3 decades. The dime features the left-facing portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek. On the obverse you see the word Liberty, the motto, In God We Trust, the year 1977, and the designer's initials. On the reverse you find the torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, with an olive branch on the left representing peace, and an oak branch on the right representing strength and independence. Above the design is the inscription, United States of America, with the denomination, one dime, at the bottom, and the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one. This classic design has been used for decades and is still in use today, but certain years and mint marks, like 1977, stand out for collectors. The 1977 Roosevelt dime was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with the D mint mark, and San Francisco with the S mint mark for proof coins. Each of these mint varieties has its own mintage numbers and levels of scarcity, which makes certain dimes more desirable than others. The Philadelphia mint struck a large number of 1977 dimes, so they are common in circulation, but condition plays a huge role in determining value. High-grade uncirculated examples of the 1977 Roosevelt dime from Philadelphia can be worth far more than 10 cents, especially when they are preserved with strong details and attractive surfaces. Collectors pay close attention to coins that have never been heavily circulated, because these examples are much harder to find. The 1977 D Roosevelt dime from the Denver Mint is another version that collectors look for. With the D mint mark, this coin was also struck in large numbers, but again, quality is the key. While most 1977 D dimes are only worth face value in circulated condition, coins that are uncirculated or in mint state grades can command much higher prices. Collectors especially look for coins that have full torch lines on the reverse, often called full bands, because these details indicate a strong strike. Finding a 1977 D Roosevelt dime with full torch lines in high grade can make the coin significantly more valuable. Then we have the 1977 S-proof dime, struck at the San Francisco Mint. Proof coins are made with a special process that results in mirror-like fields and sharp details. These coins were not released into circulation, but sold to collectors in sets. The 1977 S-proof dime may be common in proof sets, but collectors still pay for high-quality examples, especially those graded as deep cameo proofs, where the contrast between the frosted devices and the mirrored background is strong. These proof coins add another layer of value to the 1977 dime series. But what makes the 1977 Roosevelt dime especially interesting are the varieties and errors that occurred during its production. Era coins are highly collectible because they are unique, and the 1977 dime has several known examples. Off-center strikes, where the design is not properly centered on the coin, can make a 1977 dime worth far more than face value. Double die errors, where parts of the design are doubled, are another collectible variety. These errors are often visible in the lettering, the date, or the torch design on the reverse. Even small minting mistakes like clip planchets or die cracks can make a 1977 dime far more valuable to collectors who seek out unusual pieces. Collectors also consider the condition of the coin. A 1977 dime in poor, worn condition may only be worth its face value, but in higher grades the value increases significantly. Uncirculated examples with no wear are the most desirable, and when certified at the highest grades, such as mint state 66 or higher, they can be worth many times their face value. Proof coins in pristine condition can also bring premium prices. This is why it is so important to carefully examine your 1977 Roosevelt dime, because the condition and small details can be the difference between a dime worth 10 cents and a dime worth several dollars or even more. Another factor that makes the 1977 Roosevelt dime valuable is its place in U.S. history. By 1977, the dime had already transitioned from being struck in silver to being made of copper-nickel clad. Silver dimes were last minted for circulation in 1964, so the 1977 dime is a clad coin. However, some collectors mistakenly search for silver 1977 dimes, which were never officially struck for circulation. But the clad 1977 dime still carries collector interest, especially when it is found in pristine condition, with errors, or as part of a complete Roosevelt dime collection. The Roosevelt dime series is popular with collectors because it is a modern coin that is still being used today. But older dates like 1977 have begun to gain more attention. Many collectors try to build complete sets, which means every date and mint mark is important. Even though 1977 dimes are relatively modern, they are over 4 decades old now, and high-quality examples are not easy to find in circulation. This makes them more valuable to collectors who are filling their albums or pursuing registry sets where top-grade examples are required. When looking at the 1977 dime, it's also important to pay attention to strike quality and luster. Coins that have a strong strike and attractive natural luster are far more desirable. Collectors look for originality, meaning coins that have not been cleaned or damaged. A clean coin loses value, while an original uncirculated coin retains its appeal. So if you come across a 1977 Roosevelt dime, always check the surfaces carefully. Even a small detail can make a big difference in determining the value. In summary, the 1977 Roosevelt dime may seem like a common piece of pocket change, but it is actually a coin that carries collectible and sometimes surprising value. Between the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco issues, the uncirculated coins, the proof coins, and the era varieties, there are many reasons why the 1977 dime is worth saving. Collectors all over the world seek out these coins, and some examples have sold for impressive amounts. That's why you should always take a close look at your coins, because the dime in your pocket might just be a hidden treasure. The 1977 Roosevelt One Dime is valuable, and understanding its history, varieties, and condition is the key to realizing just how much it can be worth. Next up, the 1983 Roosevelt One Dime with the Philadelphia P mintmark is a coin that many people overlook, yet it is an important and valuable part of American coin history. At first glance, a 1983 Roosevelt dime looks just like any other dime in circulation, worth only 10 cents. But collectors know that the details, the condition, and certain varieties can make this coin worth far more than its face value. Today we are going to take a deep look at the 1983 dime with the P mintmark, talk about why it is valuable, what makes it unique, and why you should never ignore a dime from this year if you happen to find one in your pocket change. The Roosevelt dime has been in circulation since 1946, designed by John R. Cynic to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. By 1983, the dime had already been a familiar coin for nearly 4 decades. The obverse of the dime shows Roosevelt's profile facing left, with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust. the year 1983, and the mint mark just above the date. On this particular coin, the P stands for the Philadelphia Mint. This is significant because before 1980, dimes from Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark. The addition of the P mint mark beginning in 1980 makes the 1983 P dime one of the early Philadelphia mark coins, and this adds to its appeal for collectors who want every detail in their Roosevelt dime collection. On the reverse of the coin is the classic torch design, flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch. The olive branch symbolizes peace, the oak branch represents strength, and the torch stands for liberty. Surrounding the design are the words United States of America and one dime, along with the motto, E pluribus unum. This design is still used today, but coins from the 1980s, like the 1983 dime, have started gaining collector attention because of their age, their condition, and the demand for complete Roosevelt dime sets. The 1983 P Roosevelt dime was struck in copper-nickel-clad composition, which had been used since the removal of silver from circulating dimes in 1965. Although millions of these coins were produced, the survival of high-quality, uncirculated examples is lower than most people think. Circulated dimes from 1983 are common, but collectors place great value on coins that are uncirculated or graded at high mint state levels. A 1983 P dime in mint state 65 or higher is much harder to find than one might expect, especially with strong strike details and full torch lines. Collectors pay a premium for coins that display these qualities. Another factor that makes the 1983 Roosevelt dime valuable is the presence of errors and varieties. Coins from the 1980s are known for having interesting mistakes, and the 1983 P dime is no exception. Off-center strikes, die cracks, clip planchets, and double die varieties are some of the collectible errors that can make a 1983 dime worth many times its face value. For example, an off-center 1983 dime with the date still visible can bring significant value because it is unusual and appealing to error coin collectors. A double die with clear doubling on the lettering or the date can also make this coin extremely valuable. Condition plays an enormous role in determining the value of the 1983 P Roosevelt dime. A dime that has circulated heavily and shows, whereas generally only worth face value. But an uncirculated example, especially one with bright luster and no contact marks, can be worth dollars instead of cents. At the highest grades, such as mint state 67 or mint state 68, a 1983 P dime becomes a rarity and can be worth a surprising amount of money to collectors. Proof-like surfaces, strong eye appeal, and sharp strikes all add to the desirability. It is also important to remember that the 1983 P dime is now over 40 years old. While it may seem like a modern coin, many examples have already been lost through circulation, damage, or neglect. Collectors building complete Roosevelt dime sets want well-preserved examples from every year and every mint, and this drives demand for coins like the 1983 P. The fact that it was one of the earlier Philadelphia dimes to carry the P mint mark also makes it historically significant. This detail alone makes it more attractive to collectors who appreciate the evolution of mint mark usage in U.S. coinage. Another reason collectors value the 1983 Roosevelt dime is its role in completing high-grade registry sets. In coin collecting, registry sets are competitive collections where collectors try to own the best possible examples of each date and mint. For someone building a top-quality Roosevelt dime registry set, a high-grade 1983 P dime is essential. Because so few exist at the very highest grades, these coins can bring strong prices at auction. Even though millions were minted, finding a truly valuable 1983 P dime comes down to condition, strike quality, and errors. That is why you should always check your pocket change, your coin jars, or your family's old collections. You might be holding a 1983 Roosevelt dime with the P mint mark that is worth far more than 10 cents. While the average circulated coin may not be rare, the best examples are extremely desirable, and error coins from 1983 can be worth a small fortune compared to face value. The 1983 P dime also represents a snapshot of American history. In the early 1980s, the U.S. Mint was producing massive amounts of coins to meet circulation demands. Quality control sometimes slipped during these years, leading to the types of errors collectors love to find today. This makes the 1983 dime particularly interesting, because it combines a large mintage with the potential for scarce and valuable varieties. Collectors often view coins from this era as underrated, meaning they may gain even more value in the future as demand continues to grow. So the next time you see a Roosevelt dime from 1983 with a P mint mark, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Look closely at the details. Check the surfaces for luster. Examine the strike to see if the torch bands are fully defined, and inspect for errors or unusual features. These small details can turn an ordinary-looking dime into a collectible treasure. The 1983 Roosevelt One Dime with the Philadelphia mint mark is valuable not only because of its condition and errors, but also because of its place in modern numismatic history. Collectors appreciate it. Registry builders compete for the best examples, and era coin enthusiasts are always searching for unusual varieties. What may look like an everyday coin in your pocket could in fact be worth far more. This is why it is so important to pay attention to your change, because the dime you carry could be hiding surprising value. In conclusion, the 1983 Roosevelt One Dime with the P mint mark is a coin that deserves much more attention than it usually gets. Whether you find one in circulation, inherit one from a family collection, or pick one up at a coin show, it is always worth taking a closer look. Collectors know the true value is in the details, the mint mark, the condition, the strike, and the possibility of errors. That is what makes this coin valuable and worth collecting. The 1983 Roosevelt dime is not just a piece of pocket change. It is a small piece of history, and in the right condition, it can be a surprisingly valuable coin. Next up, the 1987 Roosevelt One Dime with the Denver D mint mark is a coin that many people see as ordinary pocket change, but collectors know that this dime can be valuable. While at first glance it looks like just another 10-cent piece, the 1987 D Roosevelt dime has details, conditions, and varieties that can make it worth far more than face value. Today we are going to explore everything about the 1987 Roosevelt dime from the Denver Mint, why it was struck, what makes it collectible, and why you should always pay attention to this dime, because it is a coin that can be surprisingly valuable. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Designed by John R. Sinek, the obverse shows Roosevelt's left-facing portrait with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, the year 1987, and the mint mark D for Denver just above the date. The reverse carries the iconic torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. The motto, E Pluribus Unum, appears, along with the words United States of America and One Dime. This design has endured for decades, but every date and mint mark tells its own story, and the 1987 D dime is an important piece of that story. In 1987, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes. Because of this large mintage, many people think the coin is too common to be valuable. But the truth is that condition, strike quality, and mint errors are what determine the real value. Circulated examples of the 1987 D dime are everywhere, but finding one in high-grade mint state with sharp details is much harder. Collectors will pay a premium for coins in pristine condition, especially those with full torch bands on the reverse, which indicate a strong strike. A 1987 D Roosevelt dime with full torch details in high mint state condition can be worth many times its face value. That is why this coin is valuable. Another reason the 1987 D Roosevelt dime is valuable is because of era coins and varieties. Mistakes in the minting process create coins that are unique, and era collectors prize them. Off-center strikes, die cracks, double dies, and clip planchets are just some of the errors that can occur. An off-center 1987 D dime where the date and mint mark are still visible can be worth a significant amount to collectors. A double die error where the date, lettering, or design shows doubling can make the coin especially valuable. Even smaller errors like misaligned dies or die chips add collectible interest and value to the 1987 D dime. Condition is one of the biggest factors in determining value. A heavily circulated 1987 D Roosevelt dime with lots of wear may only be worth 10 cents, but an uncirculated example with bright luster and no marks can be worth dollars. At higher grades like Mint State 66, Mint State 67, or even Mint State 68, the value increases dramatically because so few coins survive in those conditions. Collectors know that top-graded coins are rare and desirable, which drives prices higher. This is why it is so important to check your 1987 D Roosevelt dime carefully. The difference between an average coin and a valuable coin is often in the condition and the small details. The 1987 D dime is also valuable because of its role in coin collecting sets. Many collectors try to build complete Roosevelt dime collections with every year and mint mark. To complete a set, the 1987 D dime is required. As time goes on, uncirculated rolls of 1987 D dimes become harder to find, and this pushes up the demand for individual coins in high grade. Registry set builders, who compete to own the best possible collection, also seek out the finest examples of the 1987 D dime. This competition adds to the coin's value because collectors are willing to pay more for the best quality coins. It's important to remember that the 1987 D dime is now several decades old. While it may not feel like an ancient coin, it has been in circulation for over 30 years. Many coins from 1987 have been lost, damaged, or worn down in daily use. This makes high-quality examples much scarcer than the overall mintage numbers suggest. Collectors understand this, and that's why well-preserved 1987 D dimes are valuable today. Another factor that makes the 1987 D Roosevelt dime valuable is strike quality. Some coins were struck with more pressure or fresher dies, which resulted in sharper details, especially on the torch lines on the reverse. Coins with full torch lines, sometimes called full bands, are very desirable to collectors. These coins demonstrate the best quality of the minting process and are much harder to find, especially in top condition. A 1987 D dime with full torch lines can be worth much more than one without. Era coins from 1987 are especially collectible. For example, an off-center 1987 D dime might show only part of the design, but if the date and mint mark are visible, it becomes a highly sought-after piece. A double die obverse or reverse can also be very valuable, as can a coin struck on the wrong planchet. These types of errors are rare, and when combined with the 1987 D date and mint mark, they make the coin far more valuable than face value. Collectors who specialize in errors are always searching for such coins, and they will pay strong prices to add them to their collections. The 1987 D dime is also valuable because of the history of the Roosevelt dime series. Since 1965, Roosevelt dimes have been struck in copper-nickel clad composition instead of silver. Some people mistakenly look for silver dimes from 1987, but all circulating dimes from that year were clad. However, that does not mean they lack value. Even without silver, the 1987 D dime has collectible value because of its age, its varieties, and its condition. It represents a period in U.S. coinage history when the mint was producing huge numbers of coins, but quality control allowed errors to slip through, which are now prized by collectors. So when you come across a 1987 Roosevelt One Dime with the Denver mint mark, do not overlook it. Take the time to examine it carefully. Look for luster, sharp details, and full torch lines. Check for errors like doubling or off-center strikes. Even a small difference in detail can turn this coin from ordinary change into something valuable. Many people have found coins like this in circulation, in coin jars, or in family collections, not realizing they are holding a valuable coin. That is why you should always pay attention to your dimes, especially the 1987 D. The 1987 Roosevelt One Dime with the D mint mark is valuable because of its condition, its errors, its place in collections, and its role in American coin history. It may seem common at first, but the truth is that high-quality examples and unusual varieties are rare and collectible. This dime proves that even modern coins can carry hidden value. The next time you see a dime from 1987 with the Denver D mint mark, remember that it could be worth far more than 10 cents. This coin is valuable, and understanding the reasons behind its value helps collectors appreciate it even more. Next up, the 1991 Roosevelt One Dime with the Philadelphia P mintmark is a coin that many people overlook, yet it is an important part of American coinage, and it can be valuable. At first glance, the 1991 P dime looks just like any other dime in circulation, but collectors know that details, condition, and special varieties can make this coin worth far more than 10 cents. In this video, we will take a closer look at the 1991 Roosevelt dime with the P mintmark, talk about why this coin is valuable, and explain what collectors search for when they look at dimes from this year. If you have a 1991 dime in your change, you might actually have a valuable coin. The Roosevelt dime has been part of American coinage since 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The design was created by John R. Sinek. On the obverse of the coin, you see Roosevelt's profile facing left with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, the year 1991, and the mintmark P for the Philadelphia Mint. This is significant because before 1980, Philadelphia dimes did not carry a mintmark. By 1991, the P mintmark had become standard, and the 1991 P dime continues that tradition. On the reverse, you see the torch in the center, flanked by an olive branch symbolizing peace, and an oak branch symbolizing strength. The reverse also carries the words United States of America, one dime, and the motto E pluribus unum. It is a simple yet powerful design that has been used for decades. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of dimes in 1991. With such a large mintage, many people assume that the 1991 P dime is too common to be valuable. But in reality, condition, strike quality, and mint errors determine true value. Most 1991 P dimes in circulation are only worth face value, but examples in high mint state grades, especially those with full torch lines, can be worth much more. Collectors pay a premium for coins with strong strikes and sharp details. A 1991 P Roosevelt dime with full torch bands and know where can be a valuable coin, especially in grades like mint state 66 or higher. Error coins from 1991 also make this dime valuable. The U.S. Mint struck huge numbers of coins, and mistakes sometimes happened. Collectors search for 1991 P Roosevelt dimes with off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, and clip planchets. An off-center strike where the date and mint mark are still visible can be worth many times face value. A double die error with visible doubling in the lettering or the date can also make this coin extremely valuable. Even smaller errors like die chips or misaligned dies add to collectible interest. Error coins are unique, and the 1991 P dime has its share of these valuable varieties. Another factor that makes the 1991 P Roosevelt dime valuable is condition. Coins that have circulated for over 30 years usually show wear, scratches, and loss of detail. An uncirculated coin from 1991 is much harder to find than a worn one. Collectors will pay more for coins with bright original luster, sharp details, and no damage. At the highest grades, these coins can be worth significant amounts of money compared to their face value. This is why collectors carefully examine 1991 P dimes, because small differences in condition can mean the difference between a dime worth 10 cents and a dime worth dollars or more. The 1991 Roosevelt dime with the Philadelphia P mintmark is also valuable because of its role in building complete coin collections. Many collectors put together Roosevelt dime sets that include every year and mintmark. To complete the set, the 1991 P dime is required. While circulated examples are common, high-grade uncirculated coins are not as easy to find. Registry set builders, who compete for the best possible coins, especially prize the highest-graded examples of the 1991 P dime. The competition for these top coins helps drive up values and makes this coin more desirable. Although the 1991 P dime is a clad coin made of copper nickel, it is still collectible. Some people mistakenly look for silver dimes in the 1990s, but the last circulating silver dimes were struck in 1964. All 1991 dimes are clad. However, the absence of silver does not mean they lack value. The value of the 1991 P dime comes from its condition, its errors, and its demand among collectors. This is a modern coin that is now over 30 years old, and many examples have been lost or damaged. This makes the surviving high-quality pieces valuable. Collectors also pay attention to strike quality when it comes to the 1991 P dime. A dime with full torch lines on the reverse is harder to find and more desirable. These coins demonstrate a strong strike and stand out from ordinary examples. The difference between a weakly struck coin and a fully struck coin can be dramatic in terms of value. Collectors know this, and that's why they search carefully for 1991 P Roosevelt dimes with full torch details. The 1991 P dime is also valuable to era collectors because of the possibilities of unique mistakes. An off-metal strike, where a dime is struck on a planchet intended for another coin, would be extremely rare and valuable. Even more common errors like misaligned dies or broad strikes can make the coin worth far more than face value. Collectors enjoy the variety that errors bring, and the 1991 P dime is a coin that can show these special characteristics. This dime also represents a piece of U.S. history. By 1991, the Roosevelt dime had been in use for over 45 years, and it remains one of the most widely circulated coins in America. The 1991 P dime is part of that long tradition, but as time goes on, coins from the early 1990s are becoming less common in high grades. That's why collectors appreciate the 1991 P Roosevelt dime and why it is valuable to hold on to. So whenever you come across a Roosevelt dime dated 1991 with a P mint mark, don't ignore it. Examine it closely. Look for luster, strong details, and sharp torch lines. Check for errors like doubling, off-center strikes, or die cracks. Any of these details can add to the coin's value. Even though it seems like an ordinary dime, the 1991 P Roosevelt dime can be a collectible and valuable coin in the right condition. The 1991 Roosevelt One Dime with the Philadelphia mint mark is valuable because of its age, its condition, its strike quality, its role in collections, and its potential errors. This coin may look common, but collectors know its real value lies in the details. That is why you should always pay close attention to your change, because a dime from 1991 with the P mint mark could be worth much more than 10 cents. The 1991 Roosevelt dime is valuable, and understanding what makes it valuable is the key to appreciating it as more than just pocket change. If you've stayed with me until now, you know that coins like the Roosevelt dimes from different years and mint marks can be far more valuable than just 10 cents. Whether it's a 1977 dime, a 1983 dime, a 1987 dime, a 1991 dime, or any other Roosevelt dime, each of these coins carries history, hidden details, and collector demand that can turn ordinary pocket change into real value. That's why it is so important to always check your coins carefully, because the dime in your pocket could be worth much more than face value. If you enjoy learning about rare and valuable coins, and you want to stay updated on which coins to look for, then make sure you subscribe to my channel right now. Subscribing is the best way to never miss new videos about valuable coins that could be hiding in your change. Hit that subscribe button instantly, turn on the notifications, and join our growing community of collectors who know the true value of coins. The next coin we talk about might just be the one you already own, and it could be worth far more than you ever imagined. So subscribe right now and never miss the chance to discover coins that are truly valuable.